Tonight on Joy News Prime, Finance Minister says Ghana's economy is recovering faster than expected from the COVID-19 pandemic as he requests 27.4 billion cedis to spend for the first quarter of next year.
21 first quarter total revenue and grants of 13.3 billion, while total expenditures including the clearance of arrears is projected at 24 billion.
The minority, however, has a contrary view.
Nominal debt actually is moved up by over 150 billion. But when you increase your debt, you have to increase the base of your GDP so that it can support that debt. It has moved from 57 and is now hitting almost 80%.
In business, Finance Ministry assures of measures to check budget overruns for first quarter of next year. We'll bring you analysis following the presentation of the 2021 first quarter budget estimates.
We do not expect that those who will be in charge will be able to spend. So I don't think it's a risk we need to worry about so much.
Volta River Authority to increase export of electricity as government seeks to make use of idle generation capacity. It says cost the state some $500 million a year. And the Jabiso Bia Forest District is making the most of its timber resources by converting timber offcuts into school furniture and fighting forest fires while at it. And on the campaign trail, the NDC wants the country's land borders to be reopened so the local economies of border towns can be revived.
And that John Mahama will not ensure that the border closes perpetually. We will open the border immediately and allow trade activities to take place between Ghana and Togo.
The Vice President has also been wooing Zongo communities in the Bono East region. My name is Israel, and Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Fanafa studios at Kokomlemene here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we are free to air, and also DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is a home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay tuned in. The nation has in the last 3 years spent millions of dollars paying for power that is simply not used. Even though government has tried to renegotiate power purchase agreements signed by the previous NDC government, not much progress has been made. Senior Minister Yao Safumafo says the Volta River Authority is expected to increase its export of electricity to the West African sub-region as a way of saving government from doling out the $500 million needed to pay for the power. Mr. Mafo has been speaking at the event to launch the 60th anniversary celebration of VRA. There's more in the following report.
Rita is this month commencing series of activities ahead of its 60th anniversary celebration next year. CEO Emmanuel Dakwa says the goal of VRA is to become a profitable organization.
Our overall aim is to develop VRA into a public institution but which operates with a private sector mindset. And I'd like to underscore that. Our overall aim is to develop VRA into a public institution which operates with a private sector mindset. We know it's a daunting task, but we started, and we believe we'll be successful. So on this note, I wish to commend the government, past and present executives, our dear retirees, staff, and all other stakeholders for overseeing our successful growth and expansion, making us an international electricity supplier of choice, particularly in the sub-region.
Government says it expects the power generator to play an integral role in export power in the sub-region. Senior Minister Yao Safumafo addressed the gathering.
It is my hope, and I'm calling on VRA because a special assignment, that the VRA with their rich experience will explore the export market to reduce the burden of this overcapacity for the government. And since they've already attracted the capacity to export to our neighbors, now we have excess capacity. Please increase the export ability of yours to make sure that our take and pay burden is reduced.
Government intends to complete its restructuring of the power sector by 2023. This program seeks to, in the long term, reduce the cost of electricity, and VRA, as it marks its 60th anniversary, intends to play a critical role.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says the Ghanaian economy is recovering faster than expected from the COVID-19 pandemic as he requests approval from Parliament for government to spend 27.4 billion cedis in the first quarter of next year. Presenting expenditure in advance of appropriation for January to March 2021, he said the MPP government has reignited confidence in the Ghanaian economy the last 4 years and accused the NDC of mismanaging the economy pre-2017.
Mr. Speaker, the robustness of our macroeconomic fundamentals and the efficacy of government's COVID mitigation measures have been borne out by recent indicators. According to the Bank of Ghana's survey in August 2020, consumer confidence is bouncing back strongly and is currently above pre-COVID-19 lockdown levels. Business confidence has also increased, although below pre-lockdown levels. About 95% of businesses surveyed showed strong optimism, reflecting the improving macroeconomic conditions, stability in the exchange rate, lower input prices, moderation in lending rates, and positive industry prospects. Accordingly, the projected GDP growth rate 2020 reported in July has been revised from 0.9% to 1.9% to reflect these dynamics. As the Bank of Ghana stated, the green shoot of rebound in economic activity are clearly with us. We must be thankful to God for these encouraging developments. This and other assessments provoke a degree of optimism and reveals that the swift, bold, and effective measures implemented by government have been key in quickening the pace of economic recovery. This is the competent leadership we promised under President Akufo-Addo. Indeed, the President's decisive and compassionate leadership in these challenging times have been internationally acknowledged and has added to our reputation as a black star of Africa.
Mr. Ofori-Atta disclosed 10 billion cedis of the 27.4 billion cedis he is requesting will be used for debt servicing.
Speaker, for the purposes of the 2021 expenditure in advance of appropriation, we projected the 2021 first quarter total revenue and grants of 13.3 billion, while total expenditures, including the clearance of arrears, is projected at 24 billion. The results in the projected fiscal deficit of 10.7 billion for the period. Mr. Speaker, to support the 2021 budget and liability management, we plan to source funding from the international capital markets. This will comprise the issuance of sovereign bonds of $3 billion, with the option to increase it to 5 billion should market conditions prove favorable. Out of the amount to be raised, 1.5 billion will be used to support the 2021 budget and 3.5 billion for liability management. Mr. Speaker, we will require an amount of 27.4 billion to carry on the services of government until the expiration of 3 months from the beginning of the 2021 financial year. The total amount is to cover government operations such as compensation of employees, ex gratia awards, interest and amortization, transfer to statutory funds, critical programs and goods and services, and capex allocations of MDAs.
The minority has criticized the presentation by the Finance Minister. Minority MP on Parliament's Finance Committee, John Jinapor, says the planned expenditure shows the Ghanaian economy is broke.
What the Finance Minister came to do today is to provide what you call a holding budget. This is not a full cycle budget like we've always done, because we are in an election year. And so in accordance with Article 180 and our standing orders, we needed to give some approval for the first 3 months. This is supposed to cover January, February, and March. And right when the Finance Minister came, we thought that that was an opportunity for the Finance Minister to present to us up-to-date information. That is what the Finance Minister is supposed to do, and not to tell us what happened in the year 2019. when he was presenting the 2020 budget, he had the opportunity to report 2019 figures. In addition to that, he had an opportunity to do the media review budget. The essence of the media review budget is to tell us information of full year 2019. He spent the day telling us issues about 2019. You and I are interested in current issues because that is what will inform us. In 2016, when Honorable Setekwe came here, he requested for about 10 billion. Today, Mr. Kenuforiata is requesting for 27 billion. Out of that 27 billion, over 10 billion of that amount would be used to service debts. That is debt servicing. It tells you that this country is broke. When you read the latest October report from the IMF, and I feel that is more credible because this minister hasn't been credible enough. Our debt to GDP is projected at 76% of GDP. When he took over as minister, the debt to GDP was about 56%. And that is the critical element, not just the nominal debt. The nominal debt actually is moved up by over 150 billion. But when you increase your debt, you have to increase the base of your GDP so that it can support that debt. It has moved from 57 and is now hitting almost 80%. When a middle-income country crosses the 70% mark, it means that you are hugely debt distressed. And so we don't need the IMF to come and tell us that Ghana is HIPIC. By the minister's own track record, Ghana falls within the category of a HIPIC country.
The Jabisibia Forest District is killing two birds with one stone by converting timber offcuts into school furniture and fighting extreme wildfire. Timber offcuts are leftovers or waste in the forest after licensed timber dealers have finished their final production and processing of timber. These are what forestry experts say helps to fuel wildfires for days, resulting in widespread destruction of forest cover. About 300 school furniture has been already produced by the Commission ahead of reopening of schools as part of efforts to address the lack of furniture. Join News' Mahmoud Mohammeduddin has more.
About 3 meters long of timber offcuts of sapele line in the middle of Krokosua Hill Forest Reserve. Species such as sapele offram, danta, among others, are many of the timber offcuts left in several forest reserves in the country, perhaps to decompose or many times become enemies of the forest by fueling wildfire. But the District Forestry Commission says it has found better use of the timber offcuts. Mark Edu and his men are converting timber offcuts into furniture for school children.
During timber operations, large volume of wood are left on the forest floor as waste. We call it offcuts. And I've realized that most of this wood can be utilized. So when the District Assembly approached me for wood for furniture, I decided to try this one. I came here and realized that this is a large volume of wood that can be utilized for furniture for or monodesk for school children. So looking at the volume, it was impossible for the timber merchants to carry this to the mills. So they left this one. So
this sawmill belongs to one of the Lance's timber operators who has volunteered his resources to help the agenda of no more sitting on bare floor campaign. Enoch Ochre is the manager.
Yeah, that's not 200. 200 no that days now and you 21 days and
we have made 200 dual desks and it took us 21 days to finish them. We had to engage more people in order to meet deadline. We expect that our effort will rekindle the spirit of the children to learn hard and the teachers to be diligent in teaching them so that we benefit from our effort in future. So far, about 300 dual decks have been produced to be distributed to various schools in Joaboso, Bia West and East districts.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm very happy today to have fulfilled this dream. You know, by the nature of our work, we go through the villages, the fringe communities, and anytime we go around, one thing that comes to fore is lack of school desks for our little children. And I've been thinking about how what I can also contribute to help improve education in the district. So I looked around to see if I could get wood to help in that direction. And it came to mind that there are a lot of leftovers in the forest, then in the mills as offcasts.
More than 19,700 school children in these districts do not have furniture to sit and learn. Schools like Agoji Krom DA, Yamache Nkwanta DA, and Kwasare Nkwanta DA are the most affected in the districts. Education authorities say the intervention by the Forestry Commission is timely. Joseph Apreku is the education officer in charge of welfare at Bia East District.
We have a lot of our school children who do not have sitting and writing places, and it's affecting the academic performance so much because we cannot go to school where you don't have sitting and writing places to write your exercises and do a lot of assignments at the classroom and other projects. So it's bringing the level of education very low in our districts.
Mr. Edu pledges to use every available resources and time at their disposal to address the furniture deficit. He says it is the responsibility of every Ghanaian to complement the efforts of government to provide quality education to school children.
So far, I wanted to do 300 of them. 300 for the first start. When I'm able to finish the 300, I also do some.
MPP parliamentary candidate for Bia East, Nicholas Neba, he has also pledged to provide extra 300 furniture for the schools. Well, as a member of the human race, we all occupy an equitable status, and alleviating the challenges of others cannot only be purposely for fame, but for greater contribution to the philanthropic movements that would enrich lives. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
A command circuit court has remanded an NDC activist and two others into police custody in connection with a robbery investigation. Audu Sule, aka Scorpion, and the two have been charged with conspiracy to commit robbery and robbery. The three were part of a group whose arrest in a police raid in front of the Asawasi MP's office sparked protests from the NDC at the weekend. Prince Apia followed proceedings today in our report.
The three were arrested after the police raided the office building of the Asawasi MP Mutaka Mubarak. Family members and party sympathizers thronged to the Kumasi Circuit Court on Tuesday morning for the proceedings. There was also heavy police presence at the premises of the court presided over by Her Lordship Jacqueline Avochi. Her Lordship Avochi did not take the plea of the accused, though the accused lawyer says the prosecutor failed to back his claims with facts. Anis Mokhtar Muhyiddin is lawyer for the accused.
What originates or invokes the jurisdiction of the court is always the charge sheet, together with the facts as accompanying it. Now, if you have come to court with the charge sheet ready, duly filed, as you can see from the charge sheet as we exhibited in court, duly filed, together with the statement of facts attached to it, and the prosecution still says they're not ready to take the plea of the accused persons. In my view, that is very regretful. And it smacks of nothing other than a deliberate ploy calculated to still keeping the accused persons and denying them, their liberties.
Meanwhile, MP for the Asawasi constituency, Mutaka Mubarak, believes this is politically motivated.
I was shocked to go to court to realize that no charges have been leveled against them. Against Audu Sule, that's Scorpion. I don't know how it happened. They've now added him to some other guys. And on the sheets, they're talking about armed robbery, yet they are in court, and they tell the court that they are not ready to charge them. And I see the court allow them to keep them for 2 more weeks. I feel sad, but who am I to challenge the discretion of the judge? I would say that this is purely politically motivated. I mean, nobody can convince me otherwise, because they need to then prove beyond reasonable doubt that truly some crime have been committed.
The accused will reappear on November 11. Prince Apia reporting.
Now, the Member of Parliament for Dodo Ni Lante Van der Poel, says that 2 persons arrested by the police following the MPP-NDC clashes this past Sunday are members of the NDC. The Accra Region Police confirmed the arrest on Tuesday. For the MP, the arrest of the NDC supporters suggests selective application of the law. He was speaking on Campaign Trail, a political show on Joy Prime.
Who are causing the riots? Who are causing all this mayhem?
Who are those causing the riots, Honorable?
Is the MPP, Bannerman, and his hoodlums.
So this is pretty interesting.
They claim to have somebody so powerful
right.
at the office of the president who will always come to their defense, who will always order the police not to arrest them, not to do anything with them.
Nilante Van der Poel also bemoaned the injuries visited on members of his party, whom he says were merely embarking on a peaceful war. He indicated the violence was perpetrated by MPP hoodlums, rather, and that a man seen in one of the videos in circulation on social media who was firing shots into the air was a member of the MPP and yet has not been touched.
You have organized your work on Saturday peacefully. We totally allowed you. We gave you the permission, everything to do what you wanted to do. And then we want to do ours on Sunday. All of a sudden, you go and organize packs to pelt my people with bottles. So one of your boys comes out and starts shooting into the crowd. 3 people that were shot straight. As I'm talking to you now, yesterday night at 9 o'clock, before we got the last person out of the theater at Kolebu, it's been serious, huge cost to me. We'll be setting the record straight. All the incidents of violence that have happened in the constituency, we'll be showing, we have pictures and videos of all those things, from the registration exercise up to last Sunday, and even on Monday morning. Victims, we'll parade all the victims, we'll have the victims all testify, we'll let people know. We can give you a chronicle of all the cases we've reported to the police, which the police have done nothing about it. We would let the whole world know that as we are talking today, those who started the violence, those who shot at people are walking free. And our boys, 2 of our boys have been arrested and kept in police cells since yesterday.
So you can confirm that those who were arrested were members of the NDC?
Yes, our best party.
The Ghana Police Service has announced that a total of 631 polling stations have been identified as hotspots in the upcoming general elections in the Volta region. According to the Deputy Regional Operations Commander, Superintendent Isaac Ban, the Ketu South constituency topped the list with 85 hotspots. North Tong, Ho West, Anglo, and Ho Central were the other constituencies with hotspots. Speaking at the training workshop on crime, reporting for selected media practitioners in the Volta region, Superintendent Isaac Ban assured the police had already mapped out a strategy to prevent or curtail violence on December 7 at the identified stations to ensure a peaceful election.
In the water has a patriotism, and every division also has a patriotism, and these patriotisms are there to respond to rapid, they are there for rapid response. That's why we place those mobile patrols at the district level, because every polling station is under a particular police district and under a particular police division. So we have the police division also forming a patriotism to back the district police teams. So the district police mobile patrol team will serve as the first response, looking at proximity to that particular police. And the police, the district patrol team will serve as the first response to that, to make sure that they cater for that particular situation arising at that place. And intend to come back up from the division in case the problem gets out of hand. So by the time it escalates, we believe by then the divisional patrols will also be there. In addition to that, we have a standby policemen at the regional headquarters to assist in those situations.
There are increasing calls for the inclusion of female traditional leaders in conflict resolution as incidents of violence become rife as the 2020 election approaches. Commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Major General Francis Fufori, argues research has shown that female traditional leaders are more effective at it. He spoke with Joy News on the sidelines of the 20th commemoration of the UN Security Council resolution on women, peace and security.
I think that various agencies have stepped up activities. It is the season for the peace industry. I mean, some people say that it is when it's time for elections that you see some people come out of their shells. It's not the case with Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center. We've been all over the place. Recently, we have had to organize election violence and security course. Hitherto, it had been in Accra. This time around, we organized it, one in Accra for 80 personnel from the security agencies across board. We did a similar one in Kumasi, and the third one in Tamale. And the feedback I got after scanning a couple of radio stations in Tamale was quite positive. I want to add that we are very likely to add one more to Accra. And so this is our contribution to it. And I'm also aware, that time will come when the National Election Task Force, led by the police, will also up their game. I expect National Peace Council. Occasionally, we have religious bodies also writing to us to partner with us to be able to support them in reaching out to local communities to ensure that there's peace before, during, and after elections. In our local communities, it's also fair to be able to say that sometimes when there are conflicts, yes, it is also possible for our queen mothers to get involved. It has not always been the case that it's the chiefs, the custodians of our customs that are always invited to chair or to mediate. Sometimes in our community, you also notice that there's a lot of respect for our queen mothers, and it is said in account balance that if you try to resolve something and you're unable to do it, go and ask Abrewa. That has been the practice, and therefore I think in our communities, I can say without a shadow of doubt that our queen mothers are increasingly getting involved in conflict resolution.
Hello there, I'm Gifty Andopia with the business here on Joy News Prime. Now, the Finance Ministry is giving firm assurances that it has instituted measures to check budget overruns in the first quarter of next year. This comes after the ministry sought Parliament's approval for 27.4 billion cedis during the 2021 first quarter budget presentation. In an interview on the sidelines, Deputy Minister of Finance Kweku Kwarteng justified the need for prudent spending post-2020 presidential elections.
Even though on this occasion, there's a certain sense, at least on my part and on the part of those who worked on this expenditure in advance of appropriation, that we're going to have a new Nanado government taking over from the old Nanado government, it still will be the case that there might be changes in positions. Ministers will have to go for vetting. Within that period, you really do not expect that those who will be in charge will be able to spend. So I don't think it's a risk we need to worry about so much. But I think broadly, what the minister was saying was that when you have gone through COVID and you have a program to recover, as part of the recovery, you want to now make sure that you return to the normal deficits you were registering before the pandemic. MDAs would have to play their role in that. And let's not forget that it is also a jailable offense under the PFMA to overspend your budget. It's a jailable offense, and so I'm confident that MDAs would listen to the minister's admonition, and that by the time we actually issued the actual 2017-2021 budget in March 2021, we would have contained our expenditures within the revenue that we're able to get.
But you look at 13 billion revenue, 27, again, another huge deficit as well. Q1 already, it gives us a sense of what we should expect for the year.
I think you should focus more on the year-end deficit. As you would recall, in the first year, in the first quarter after an election year, there are some extraordinary expenditures you need to incur. And therefore, in order to get a balanced picture of what's likely to happen in 2021, you need to look at the year-end projections. We are committed. I'm confident we'll be in power. We're committed to respecting the fiscal path that we have defined, because without it, the recovery will be difficult and Ghanaians will pay the price subsequently. So we're committed to ensuring that the fiscal path is respected. And once that happens, the recovery would follow, and Ghana can safely put COVID behind us and return to the kind of progress we're making, exiting the IMF, improving the macro fiscals that we saw before COVID. We would return to those.
Kweku Kwarteng there. Meanwhile, the minority is accusing government of failing to deliver on the constitutional requirement, which is informing the public on the state of the economy. Haruna Idrisu is the minority leader in Parliament.
Needed to have an appreciation of how has revenue fared with COVID and how will revenue fare tomorrow without COVID or with COVID. How has growth fared with COVID and how will growth fare? You notice that he avoided even sharing with the Ghanaian people what the true state of the economy is. We needed to have an understanding of the state of the economy. Then we know what Excellency John Dramani Mahama will inherit. It will be a fractured, fragile economy dependent on debt and borrowing. He himself hinted that he will be borrowing through a sovereign bond 3 to 5 billion. It is only this Minister of Finance who celebrates borrowing as if that can generate growth and prosperity. You know that the IMF has dedicated Ghana, our debt to GDP by the IMF latest report is 74.6%. 74.6%. And even into 2021, they project that it will only fall to 74%. That means we're a debt risk distressed country. We'll pay more on interest in servicing debt. Borrowing cannot improve quality of life of Ghanaian, and borrowing cannot be the source of prosperity for the Ghanaian. You notice that his own people didn't cheer him. All is not well. All is not well at all. That the Gombe say that when you chase a tortoise into a yam mouse and you cannot catch it, that is your shame. There are now a tortoise in a yam mouse who pick them easily, and Excellency John Dramani Mahama will win 2021.
In a related development, economist Professor Peter Kwarteng is raising questions about government's quest to issue a $5 billion Eurobond to finance maturing debt. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
The 2021 projections seem a bit cautiously optimistic, in my view. A budget deficit of 8.3% of GDP. And then my concern is the sovereign bonds that we're going to raise in 2021. But that is on condition that market conditions are favorable. Otherwise, it might not be too ideal to raise money from the capital markets around this period. You might pay for higher risk and of course, higher interest rates unless conditions improve in 2021.
All right.
I might also see that if you look at the expenditure numbers, you will find that interest payments, that is for the first quarter of what has been projected, the 27.4 billion that is being requested. About 7 billion will go into interest payments. That is about 40% of the total amount requested. And raise more revenue domestically. Otherwise, it becomes a challenge. Having paid interest on loans and then paid for compensation of employees, you are hitting about 80% of total revenue, and that is total expenditure, and that is quite worrying.
Professor Peter Kwarteng there. That'll be all for business this hour. I'm back after 8 with more, but there is sports right after me, and Israel Lai will continue with the news. My name is Gifty Ando up here.
Right, it's time for Showbiz, and Becky Vex is here. Hello, Becky Vex.
Hello.
Host of E-Vibes.
Thank you so much. So I had to go to Somanya today. I'm just coming back from Somanya.
Okay.
Something big coming up on E-Vibes. You guys.
Calm down.
Yeah,
Calm
it's
down.
because you know there's a lot of traffic in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because I love you and I love our viewers, I had to, you know, be here.
Thank you for
but
being here.
Let's talk about GH Unite concert.
Yeah.
So we've gotten the host of the show come Saturday, and it's been confirmed that Mercury Quay and Sister Sandy are the host for this weekend's program.
All right.
And of course we have Mercury. You know Mercury Quay?
Yeah.
He speaks like, you know.
He speaks like who?
DJ Khaled.
Really?
It's like the Ghana version of DJ Khaled. And this guy, he doesn't really sing, but, you know. If we have Mercury on, Mercury. Yo, okay. Mercury is a hype man, so you have to, you know, be in the spirit of hyping.
Okay.
Mercury Quay.
Yo, what up, Dex? What up, Israel Lion? We are live on Joy News.
I'm telling you, enjoy news.
First time being on this channel.
Exactly. And I'm the one putting you on this channel. You have to be very grateful, man.
That's what it is, man. I don't know if you've ever done this on the show, but yo, Israel and Becky, make some noise.
Woo! Mercury Quay. Mercury, you're hosting GH Unite concert featuring Shatta Wale,
right.
Stoneboy, Samini, Kofi Kinata, and Kwame Eugene. What are we expecting from you, Mercury?
And you know, Mercury is synonymous to energy, synonymous to excitement. So that's exactly what we should expect. At this time of the year, you know, election is just around the corner. And there's one thing that we need to bring home. There's one thing that we need to remind people. Life is good, but it's always better to ameliorate it. And to do that at this time, the medicine that we need, you know, the dosage that we need, it's a lot of peace and, you know, tranquility. So that's what this show stands for. And I'm excited to actually have all these amazing acts, Tawale, Stoneboy, Samini, Kwame Eugene, Kofi Kinata on one stage to mash it all up, to drum home the message of peace to Ghanaians. And I'm very excited about how, you know, Ghana is excited about this event. And Sunday, I can tell you for sure, is going to be an exciting time.
I'm actually amazed, Mercury, at the fact that they were able to put all those artists on the bill.
Exactly. You know, Israel, when Logi called me and said that Mercury Shatta Wale has been confirmed, I was like, this is something else. This is amazing. You know, it's a very heavy lineup. I least expected that. I least saw that coming. And Israel, just as surprised as you are, I am. And I'm really excited about this.
I'm hoping, though, that there are no last-minute surprises, somebody pulling out and saying, oh, they're not going to be on.
Well, we're not expecting that this time. I think Logi is he's a fantastic guy. He worked very hard and he's in touch with, you know, these guys. I see him. I've been with him a couple of times and I've seen that he's in touch with these guys, having conversations about the event. So definitely we should expect to see all of these acts on stage.
Now, you're going to be doing this with Sister Sandy. And Sister Sandy is also a very talented person. Yeah. Have you worked with her before?
I haven't worked with Sister Sandy in this capacity before, but Sister Sandy, you know, I've watched her, she watches me, and interestingly, she calls herself the female version of Mercury Quay.
Oh, really?
That tells you, exactly. So that tells you that there is a certain bond. She comes on my show to come twerk sometimes, you know, so.
Whoa!
Mercury! Hold on. Do you understand that is Israeli doing the interview?
So you said she comes on the show to twerk?
Don't be surprised. Anything can happen in the studios of Hits FM. You should be invited one of these days.
Hits FM I have said time and again, it's a reality show on its own, and you know, that's how we keep it. So Israel, I'm sorry, but
no, I know Sister Sandy is that crazy, but I didn't know that she was...
I've never twerked on your show before, have I?
Becky, please don't let me spill.
Don't say anything, Mekri. Thank you so much for joining us. We will leave you here and move on to other stories. Easy. I'm not like that, you know. I'm a Christian.
No, but the way he's sounding means you've gone to twerk.
I can't twerk to even save my life. I can't even breathe saying that. But Easy, let's move away from obviously GH Unite concert is something that you should look forward to this Saturday, 1st of November. Grab your tickets. It's only 20 Ghana cedis.
And the Samini song I was talking about yesterday is my own.
Oh, can we have that song so that we can sing along?
Okay, we can bring it later.
Oh, no, you just always don't do that.
No, because you have to get on to the next.
A lot of people are expecting you to give us that voice, you know, behind the voice of...
But we have to go on to the next story.
Yeah, we will. But do you promise to sing?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Miss V. So she's giving us snippets of her upcoming album. And we have, you know, that special... this is like the first airplay of the snippets of her album in 2020. Let's take a look. Wow.
Sounds like quite a story.
Yes. Long story, and Invincible is something that everybody should look forward to. That's, you know, coming from Miss V. But another person we're expecting to release an album just this Friday. We have the album Listening tomorrow. Is Kelvin Boy and Samini, Jedouble Ambule. They've been speaking about this particular album. We have some fans out there at Somani.
Loads of fans, actually. You encountered some?
I met two kids this evening, and they are called Mauli Kem and Mauli Nam. Thank you guys so much for the support.
Mauli Kem and Mauli Nam. Yeah, thank you. I'm sure you're watching right now. Yes. Love to you. Okay.
Oh, they didn't take my kiss. They just took it.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Becky, for bringing us showbiz. We have more news coming up. Don't go away. Government has praised COVID-19 testing centers in the country for their support in the fight against the pandemic. According to Dr. Okoboy, even though the 3 T's, tracing, testing, and treating, were effective in the fight against COVID-19, the testing centers did not neglect Ghanaians due to inadequate supplies of PPEs. Speaking at the donation of some PCR testing kits and laboratory equipment by MODOC to 4 national COVID-19 testing centers, Dr. Okoboy said non-compliance with the safety protocols is becoming alarming.
Really, I think we've done well because our labs didn't turn their back on us. The policy of tracing, testing, and treating has been very key to Ghana's success story. And let me say that the last time I checked, we had a national active case count of about 514 cases. Well, our objective still is to do 0 active cases in the shortest possible time. And that will be possible with partnership like these, where we get the necessary items that are crucial in testing, tracing, and making sure that we keep a very safe environment. There are folks who assume that the pandemic is over in this country. People even sometimes ask me, Doctor, why are you people still wearing a mask? The virus is gone. You know, but fighting an infectious agent is like fighting a bushfire. Until the last one is extinguished, really the situation can get worse again. So let's all take this opportunity to remind the public and ourselves that we are still in this war, and that it's only when the last soldier is cut out that we can take a breather. So on this note, we thank you very much. We assure you of making sure that we supervise an equitable and fair distribution, and also support our agencies to make sure that whatever you've provided is put to very good use.
The Northern Region Police Commander has expressed worry over the weekly death toll from road traffic accidents in the region. COP Timothy Yusa Bonga is worried the lives of these energetic souls with a capacity to help increase productivity are just being snuffed out through avoidable accidents. In his endorsement of the Joy News and National Road Safety Authority Arrive Alive campaign, COP Yusa Bonga urged the public to slow down on the roads and be rather late than be called the late. COP Yusa Bonga is appealing to motorists to respect and obey instructions from MTTD officers on the road since their actions are geared towards saving lives.
Week. There's no week that passes without us recording a motorbike accident in the metropolis, which is not good for us. These are young men and women whose contribution to this nation is yet to be felt. So if you lose your life now, we have lost your contribution to the development of this nation. And we need to keep them alive. We have done a lot of education, sensitization to these people, but we need to continue. As we are approaching Christmas, my advice to road users is that let us exercise caution. Let us exercise caution. Don't be in a hurry to get to any place. It's better you are late to that place than they will call you late. Exercise patience and obey your traffic regulations. Don't cross red light when it is red. Don't move when it is red. Stop when it is green, you go. Don't try to overtake the wrong side. And our motorists, when you are on the motorbike, make sure you have your helmet. Your pillion rider should have his or her helmet. Because in motor accidents, studies have shown that when it happens, the likelihood of you hitting your head against an object or something is very high. The helmet, the crash helmet, will help preserve your life.
Free primary health care and the National Health Insurance Scheme has dominated the debate between the opposition NDC and the ruling MPP on their health policies as contained in their manifestos. While the NDC insists its free primary health care will help the NHIS, the MPP says it will expand health infrastructure to all corners of the country. This was at a debate organized between representatives of the MPP and NDC by St. Ghana to debate the party's health policies ahead of the election. There is more in this report by my colleague, Kweku Asante.
With a little over a month ahead of this year's crucial general election, representatives from the two major parties, the NDC and NPP, are discussing why their manifesto policies on health are superior compared to the other. Health has become one of the major talking points ahead of the 2020 election, and St. Ghana, a leading NGO in the health space, is interrogating the policies and programs of the two parties. Here is Deputy Country Director of St. Ghana, Dr. Emmanuel Aifa, explaining the basis for the debate.
We've met here today to actually engage the political parties for them to tell us as stakeholders what exactly their party manifesto borders on health.
Free primary health care will improve the National Health Insurance Scheme. The opposition NDC is insisting as it battles out its health policies contained in its manifesto against that of the NPP. According to a spokesperson for the NDC on health, Dr. Jehu Apia, the free primary health care will focus on health promotion and prevention, which according to him will lift the burden from the NHIS, which covers less than half of the Ghanaian population.
I'm talking about the 40 that they don't have coverage. I'm saying that the ideal situation with the Ghana ID, Ghana card. Ghana card will make it easier for everybody to get NASH, but does everybody have it? We're saying that until you have it and you fall sick, if you have not gone through the health promotional issues, the educational issues in the communities, the preventive issues in the country, and you fall sick, are we saying that we should wait for you to get national health insurance before you get help?
On his part, Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiasare, is assuring that the next NPP government will build new health facilities across the country.
We wanted to upgrade an existing district hospitals and then finish all existing hospitals. I'm happy to say that Eurojet project, or the 9 projects, we have been able to commission 3 of them, 1 regional hospital at Wa, the district hospital at Kwabenya, and recently His Excellency the President commissioned the district hospital at Tepa. 2 more hospitals are ready for commissioning. We're hoping we'll do it this month, but maybe in early next month.
But what is the plan of both the NDC and NPP in relation to funding access to vaccines? Both parties have nothing on this in their manifestos.
You may not see it written down boldly, but as I said, vaccines are funded as part of the budget of the Ministry of Health in NHIS. So we normally send the bills to NHIA and then they pay the Gavi directly.
So that is why Gavi doesn't get their money?
I'll give you the reason why Gavi. You know, Ghana as a lower middle income economy, we are transitioning from Gavi support. The transition starts in 2022. And by 2028, we are supposed to transition completely and buy our vaccines. And that is what Ghana has been saying. We have to be Ghana beyond 8.
Dr. Gordon Abeka Nkrumah is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana and a health expert, and has been criticizing the financing models of the 2 parties.
So I would agree with you that if with the current package of services, we still have arrears. So for instance, around 2016, we were doing an average of about 7 months in arrears. Okay, right now, we are doing around 3 months, like he said. And that sort of situation promotes what we call co-pay within the facilities. And once there is co-pay within the facilities, it undermines the credibility of the insurance.
National Chairman of the Opposition NDC, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, says the next NDC government will immediately reopen the country's land borders should it be elected in December. He argues it is high time the borders are opened since the number of COVID-19 cases has declined significantly. Addressing supporters in the Sketu North constituency in the Volta region, where the party's vice presidential candidate was introduced, Ms. Ampofo said the reopening of the land borders is critical to local economies of the towns there.
How does the government expect the people of Ketu South to survive? When we ask them, they say it's because of COVID. Have you seen COVID crossing borders before? It is only the Nakufado and Bambia who can tell us that the COVID crosses border. And then if you close the border, COVID will not be able to cross. I want to assure you that 40 days from now, there is going to be an election. And there is going to be a new president and a new government under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. The NDC government under John Mahama will not ensure that the border closes perpetually. We will open the border immediately and allow trade activities to take place between Ghana and Togo.
Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman on her part pledged that the next NDC government will prioritize health, especially for women, arguing that it's better to use public funds to build infrastructure such as hospitals to cater for the people.
It is so important because our youth is suffering. And this morning I used an example on the radio station. So at the risk of repeating myself, let's say that there was a hospital in progress that has stopped, like many of our projects that have stopped. Now where will the contractor be? Would he be at home? So where is the contractor? Where will the engineer be? Will he be employed? Good. How about about the quantity surveyor? Is he employed? No. How about the person who can give his labor by carrying the cement from the shop to the vehicle and unload? Is this person employed? No.
Elsewhere, flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama, says the next NDC administration will build a district hospital for the people of Pram Pram. Addressing the chiefs and people of the Pram Pram traditional areas, part of his tour of the Greater Accra region, the former president noted that a district hospital will be a major boost in healthcare delivery in the district. He adds that all major roads in the district will be constructed to ease movement to and from the capital.
If you are me piake ke mokona hela lonoko e banye e ya Rich Hospital a lo kolebu a lonoko si e ya mtoa e wo fe wo jamake ke MDC government ba Obama new district hospital wo hanye le bia ke ote shayo sudoku Woma hospital ko ye sha osudoku like a hospital eko Obama we go from
He accused the Nanado government of collapsing the landing beach committees which facilitated the disbursement of fishing inputs and promised to properly reconstitute them.
At the time NDC was in office, we established landing beach committees along all the coastline. And the chief fishermen were part of the landing beach committees. And the landing beach committees were made up of the fishermen themselves. And so all the fishing inputs that we brought were given to the landing beach committees. We used to constantly bring subsidized outboard motors. We used to supply premix and other fishing inputs to the landing beach committees. And these went to the fishermen themselves. When the new administration came, they have collapsed the landing beaches. And now when the premix comes or the outboard motors come, they give them to their party executives. And then their party executives put their profits on top of it and then sell it to the fishermen. So that is an issue that we are aware of. When we come, we'll reconstitute the landing beach committees properly. And then all the fishing inputs will go directly to the landing beach committees.
Meanwhile, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has challenged former President John Mahama to point to Ghanaians a single opportunity he created during his tenure as Vice President and President. The Vice President argues this is the only way Ghanaians will take the former President seriously for the many promises he continues to make on campaign platforms. Speaking at Pong on Tuesday during his tour of the Eastern region, Dr. Bawumia questioned the sincerity and credibility of Mr. Mahama's promises.
Former President Mahama says he wants to come back to build a country of equal opportunities. I want to ask him what he did for 8 years when he was in government as president and vice president. Where were the equal opportunities they built for Ghanaians? Under Nana Akufo-Addo, the MPP is showing that we are the government of equal opportunity. We are the government of the masses. We are providing equal opportunity for all Ghanaians. We are giving teacher training allowance. We are giving nursing training allowance. We are doing one constituency, one ambulance, one district, one factory, one constituency, $1 million, nation builder score, one district, one factory, all of the free senior high school education. And we are going to give tertiary loans for access to tertiary education by all. And we want Zongo communities to have model senior high schools. We are the government of equal opportunity. The NDC is the government of a confirm and of an equal opportunity. They are the government of a confirm. They cannot tell you what equal opportunity they have given to our youth. Unemployment is not equal opportunity. Unemployment is not equal opportunity.
We're taking a break here now to bring you more business. Do stay tuned in.
You're welcome back with business with me, Gifty Andropia, here on Joy News Prime. Now, in this edition, the government has confirmed it has reached an advanced stage to purchase the 49.5% shares of Airtel in Airtel Tigo temporarily. According to a statement from the Communications Ministry, it has gone far with discussions with Airtel Tigo to transfer Airtel's shares to the government. The government is optimistic it will conclude the deal shortly when definitive agreements are made between the parties, but it is expected to hand over the shares later. The government assured the protection of the interest of all employees, customers and stakeholders and the continuation of the digital transformation in Ghana. Bharti Airtel yesterday announced in a statement that it will sell its 100% shares of its Ghana business for $25 million to Ghana. Now, businesses have been admonished to review written contracts prior to the outbreak of COVID-19. This will enable businesses to identify their fundamental obligations under the contracts and juxtapose that with current reality. Contract specialist Tunis Amuzu, who is also a lawyer at GIMPA, believes that due to the negative impact of coronavirus, agreements partners need to meet each other halfway in agreement. He spoke after a meeting organized by the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Tema. There is more in this report by Kwame Yanka.
COVID-19 becoming a pandemic, businesses across the world have their own forecasts for 2020. However, after several months into the health crisis, some businesses home and abroad are tanking, bearing the brunt of the outbreak. Is there any window of opportunity to salvage contracts signed prior to this? Lawyer Tunis Amuzu is asking businesses to run to Contract Act of Ghana to help salvage impact of COVID-19 on agreements.
So you start by identifying your fundamental obligations under your contract and compare it to what is happening. Then you can conclude that your contract is frustrated or not frustrated. Fortunately, the Contract Act of Ghana has provisions on what parties can benefit from or how the consequences of frustration should be treated. And it is a good idea that companies familiarize themselves with these provisions and take advantage of these provisions. It will be good that after reviewing these positions, businesses are able to get back to the negotiation table with their partners and discuss.
Maritime lawyer and director of Tema Ports, Sandro Poku, wants individuals and companies to understand fine details before signing contracts.
And we assume a lot. We don't read the fine details and then we just sign. And so I think that there needs to be a lot of education. If you're going into business, you should, get a lawyer, you should get people who understand the business, and then they can advise you properly on how to do your documentation before you start paying money to anybody or you start importing. And most of the time, the importers don't know much about the details and how to fill in the documentation. So they rely on the shipping agents or the clearing agents. I think for the clearing agents, majority of them understand the documentation that needs to go into it. And so even before you decide to import, you can go to GIF headquarters and let somebody there be nominated for you to take you through the documentation before you sign anything with the seller, whether in Far East or Europe, before you sign and bring in your goods.
Meanwhile, Tema Regional Chair of Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Isaac Yusuf Barry, shares how an unexpected occurrence ruined his contract.
I was to deliver some things to Nigeria, but I couldn't make the time because of the truck carrying the goods got spoiled on the way for about 2 weeks. and it became a whole lot of problem for me. I have to be how to even resolve it. It cost me a lot to be able to resolve it, but despite resolving it, I don't think it should be repeated, and I don't think any other business person should fall into that same type of this thing. That's why I'm organizing this meeting to really learn from the resource persons who that came. I think we are witnesses. They gave us some concrete evidences from their own ends, and you could see how we should, the right clauses that we should put in our agreements.
Businesses are expected to take a different approach to contracts after having participated in the event. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy Business.
Let's just say some very good advice there. Well, the Northern Regional Red Cross team has received items from some donations from Ghanaians following an appeal by the Multimedia Group for support for people who were displaced by recent floods in the northern, northeast, Savannah and Upper East regions. Over 1,000 people were affected following the annual spillage of the Bagre Dam as well as torrential rains. This caused havoc to farmlands and displaced people. 11 people lost their lives, triggering the Up to Us campaign by the Multimedia Group. Martina Bugri has more.
Addressing a press conference in Tamale, Claude Conversar said there was no way caterers under the school feeding program will be able to give children the required nutritional meals with just 1 Ghana cedis per day. He said, but with Alafe Foods, the children are guaranteed 15% of their nutritional needs. He said they are asking that the caterers buy the source from Alafe Foods, and that can only be guaranteed if the Gender Ministry sanctions it.
Our company, Alafe Foods, made a proposal to the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection in March of 2018 to provide Alafe Foods high-protein vegetable sauce to all school children enrolled in the school feeding program in the north of Ghana in the 5 northern regions. We are able to do this at a very low cost of 50 pesos per child meal, and a 100-gram portion of Alafe Foods high-protein vegetable sauce will contain 15 grams of pure protein, which is the full daily requirement for many of these children here, the younger children. The ones who are reaching the older age of primary school, who are 10, 11, 12 years old, it's about half of their daily protein requirement. And we made this proposal because when I started to visit the communities, I saw in communities that have beautiful soil, enough rainfall during the year, yet the children are not receiving protein and adequate nutrition. Now, our proposal is not to make this available, but to affirmatively deliver it to every single primary school in the 5 northern regions of Ghana. We will affirmatively deliver this so that every child will be guaranteed to receive his or her daily, half to all of his or her daily protein requirement.
He said this will also boost the Ghanaian economy because they'll be bringing in $40 million direct investment.
Speaking with, and as soon as we have the memorandum of understanding signed with the Minister for Gender, then they will know that, and we'll be into the final stages of reaching our deal to get the money. But I know from having been at this for 6.5 years that I'm talking to the people now who have that kind of money, and they all want to put it in to our project, but no investor will invest in a project that doesn't have all the off-takers lined up. And that's the only thing that we're missing right now. We have our other off-takers lined up. All the other products from the other 4 factories are taken care of. We simply ask for the Minister for Gender to accept this proposal. And again, we're not seeking to disrupt the school feeding program. They'll still have the caterers, and the caterers will be buying starch from local farmers. If you read our proposal, which is part of the package, we've offered our trucking fleet to help bring
their crops to regional markets, the local farmers' crops to regional markets where they will earn more money. Because in order to be able to sell the product at such a low price, 100 grams at 50 pesos per child meal.
Martina Brugui filed that report, and that's it for business. I am Gifty and Apia. Gary Al Smith is here with some more sports, and Israel I will continue. My name is Gifty and Apia. Do have a good night.
Welcome back to the sport. I'm Gary Al Smith. Thank you for your time. And we begin with the news, as you may have heard in our previous bulletins, that starting this Friday and for the next 3 Fridays, the Joy Sports team will be getting you ready for the Ghana Premier League with a trilogy of programs we call GPL Primer. We'll be priming you for it. And if you go to our Instagram, Joy Sports GH, you would have seen the flyer there. So this is our plan for you. This coming Friday, the 30th of October, the Heart Edition, 1 hour dedicated to everything Heart in this preseason. Next week, Friday, the Kotoko edition, dedicated to everything Kotoko this preseason. Remember, they are camping in Koforidua as we speak, and Hearts are in Cape Coast. And then, on the day the Ghana Premier League kicks off, that night, it's a 2-hour omnibus edition featuring the latest from all the clubs. The GPL Primer will be with you from the Joy Sports team. And then, also, this Saturday, don't forget we told you this yesterday, we have the transfer window Ghana style. So on Friday, when we've told you about everything Hearts has done, we do the transfer window of all the teams, 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. That will be on Saturday night. We will be here to get you ready for the Ghana Premier League season, to be here on Joy News as well. Right, let's go abroad. And reigning world 100-meter champion Christian Coleman is set to miss the Tokyo Olympics after being banned for 2 years by the Athletics Integrity Unit. The independent body, which combats doping, had provisionally suspended a 24-year-old in June for a whereabouts failure and upheld its decision on Tuesday. His ban means out of 50 sprinters, Usain Bolt remains the cleanest 100-meter champion. From athletics to tennis, and the Magdan tennis training matches and other tennis competitions being organized by the Ghana Tennis Federation and their affiliates is to facilitate the growth of tennis in the country. At the ongoing Magdan tennis training matches, Joy Sports spoke with some of the young tennis stars to get them and their ideas about the reason for choosing the sport. Sorry about that. I would have to leave you with that. Well, we'll bring it back on Fan Zone with Hans Mesanda at 10:30. I'm Gary Al Smith, and that's the sport for now. Don't forget, you can get more of our content online. That's Joy Sports GH on Twitter, Joy Sports on Facebook, and then Joy Sports GH on Instagram. Bye for now.
And that'll be all for Joy News Prime for today. I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night. Up next, we have Manifesto Tracker with Evans Spencer. Stay tuned in.